Okay, so we're joined by Susana Ochoa, a member of Mexico's Wikipolítica movement. Susana, we've seen an amazing public reaction to last week's terrible earthquake, with civil society organising to help rescue victims and send aid wherever it's needed, instead of waiting for the government to respond. But we've also seen massive distrust in the government and accusations that authorities have been diverting aid for political reasons. Do you think there's an opportunity now to build a fairer and more open society, like what happened after the major earthquake in 1985?
Well, I see two things. The first is that there's future for our country because people are willing to take the hand of the people that's behind them, next to them, to rebuild what happened in Mexico City. But I see a danger too because, like you said it well, people don't trust the institutions. But I don't think the way is to reject institutions because actually the government and institutions are the first ones that could avoid what happened. Because you have seen maybe that a lot of the buildings that were built were because of corruption they didn't build like they were supposed to be, and so what I see it's we can open an opportunity for these people that were like working with other people to replace the government that we have right now, but not replace the government as an institution, because I think the government and the institutions are supposed to protect people not only from disasters but from like people that steal and stuff.
So your movement Wikipolítica has been successful in reducing public funding of political parties here in Jalisco, and there's now a lot of pressure on to end all public funding for the parties in Mexico and use it to help the earthquake victims. I completely agree that the government should do everything that it needs to give earthquake victims all the support that they need. But is there a risk that reducing public funding of political parties would strengthen the larger parties that are less reliant on public funding and increase the influence of corporate interests or organized crime as Mexico's parties look for alternative sources of income?
Definitely. I see a really danger right now, just like Naomi Klein wrote about the doctrine of shock, that when something like this, like bad as an earthquake is happening, the political class can take advantage of the opportunity to legislate about things that we cannot take back. Like, for example, the privatization of municipalities. I think, first of all, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, unconstitutional.
Yeah, and I think that people don't know the danger of these corporate groups and
organized crime.
Yeah, it's going to found the political parties in Mexico. So I see a really danger right there, and because of the distrust that people have over the political parties, they will take advantage of that.
Yeah. You recently announced that you're going to run for the Jalisco State Congress in next year's elections. You said you don't feel represented by the political class in Mexico. What kind of issues would be your biggest priorities if you win?
Actually, that's working in my agenda. It's one of the things that make me more excited about. Definitely the media, how in Mexico the people that are doing media in the streets are not having like good income, social benefits and stuff. That's going to be one subject for me. The other thing is, of course, the gender agenda. We live in a country that women are being sexually harassed in the streets. There's a lot of violence still in their houses, so that's going to be another issue for me. And inequality, above all, I think we live in a country that has a lot of people living under the line of poverty, and I think that should be an agenda for everybody who wants to run for office in 2018.
Sure. And can you tell us a bit about your project Con Nosotras and why it's so important for women to play a bigger role in public life in Mexico?
So Con Nosotras, it's a small organization with women that are part of all the political parties. And what we saw is that women are right now not represented, not only in politics, but in academia, in medicine, in technology. I see there's a big trust breach between what we women think that we can do and then do. And so we tried to visualize that, and we wrote a manifesto that actually started to like make people talk about that, about the quotas and stuff. So we started a public discussion about that, and I think it's important that women start raising their hands to be part of the places that decisions are making, because women are already doing stuff in Mexico. They are part of the resistance, they organize with neighborhoods and stuff, but they are not where the decisions are happening.
You worked on Pedro Kumamoto's election campaign and ran his communications after he was elected to Congress. What have you learned from these experiences?
Well, I learned a lot. We have been working like for 3 years now, and I learned that a lot of things are possible if you work with other people that also think that things are possible. I learned that fear is, you have to face fear, that by being with someone else working on this stuff. I see that there's a lot of people that want to raise their hand to build another type of country, and another stuff about how the Congress works, and how there's a lack of willing to do stuff different. So we have to break that.
Yeah.
We have to
Put pressure.
Yeah.
Wikipolítica has grown from quite a small local group to a national movement, with candidates announced already in Jalisco, Mexico City, and Yucatan next year. How did this growth happen, and what were some of the challenges facing Wikipolítica as it expands?
We have a lot of obstacles, because right now we are an organization that works with people that are volunteers. We don't pay anybody to do like Wikipolítica on a daily basis, so that's a big like obstacle I see. Another one is that we're not being capable to go and put Wikipolítica in places and cities that are willing to raise their hands and do it. So that's like a big obstacle too. Another one is that nobody's telling us what to do. I mean, we're doing imagine what kind of institutions we want to build for our government, for our country. So there's a lot of mistakes in doing that.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the right way to imagine institutions.
Yeah. And finally, 2 weeks ago, Mexico mourned the loss of Mara Castilla, a 19-year-old student who was murdered by a Cabify driver after a night out with friends. This is part of a wider trend, as 7 women are murdered every single day in Mexico, and many are targeted for clear gender reasons. Why do you think there's so much violence against women here, and so much resistance to feminism?
I think, our country is historically machista. You learn it in your house, you learn it in your school, so it's something that you have in your mind. So we as feminists have a lot of work to do in things about pedagogía. I don't know how to.
Hello.
Like pedagogía, to make people understand that this is a subject that it's still happening.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that because we can vote, that because we can work, that's the only thing that you have to do. But there's a lot of machismo still in our DNA. And the political parties and the class política are not willing to take a stand on that, because they don't see it right now, I think, as a subject that will give them votes. So I think there's a lot of stuff that we need to do about that.
And do you think having more women in government would gradually help to begin to change those perceptions?
I don't think necessarily that would happen, because a lot of women that are now representing other women, they are just replicating the bad politics.
Yeah.
I think that we women who want to raise the hands and want to be elected for office, we need to make a reflection. We need to take a step back and think, how are we not going to replicate the same practice?
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.